Hey y'all, welcome back again to another fat loss update. So I just finished a maintenance week. It actually went really well. I'm starting to actually get the hang of this maintenance thing. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But body weight, it went up slightly. I expect that with maintenance because I'm eating more carbohydrates, so I expect a little bit of an increase. But it was 0.63 pounds. So I mean, that's basically nothing. So I kind of did exactly that. I maintained where I was. So I'm real pleased with that. I've got a picture too showing the update. I did take that in the middle of the workout, whereas normally I take it before I walk in the morning. I'm not sure if that's going to skew the picture either better or worse. I have no idea, but just to be honest with you guys, I try to keep everything consistent. I just didn't get that done first thing this morning. Um, Again, I don't think there's any difference from last week anyway, so I don't think it matters. But just so you know, um, like I said, normally I don't do well with maintenance. Part of it, I think I'm learning some things this go around with the fat loss. Before, I would kind of push things. Well, early on, I would start a fat loss phase and then I'd make changes every week. And I don't think, looking back on it now, that I needed to make changes every week. I think, the change I made would have given me results for at least a couple of weeks, if not several weeks. And then I should have made changes there. But by kind of making those changes every week, cutting calories more and more and more and more, I would get to this point where basically I just couldn't take it anymore. And then I'd have to eat. And so I would end up going a little bit crazy. Not truly binging or anything, but definitely would eat more. I'd say, okay, I'm just going to eat a little bit more, but I couldn't control myself for that little bit. So it ended up being a decent amount more. And I'd gain a few pounds within a week or two for sure. And then I'd get back on track on the diet, but it would take me a few weeks just to get back to where I was before that maintenance or diet break. So what I've done this time around is try to make sure I take that diet break before I get to that point. If I get to that point, I'm not going to have the willpower, I'm not going to have the reserves to not eat or not kind of go a little bit crazy. But if I start to feel like, okay, I could take a diet break now, I could still go probably for a couple more weeks before I would need it. That tends to work better. Then, I'm really not craving anything, so I don't have to deal with that. If I get to that breaking point, there's going to be cravings there, and I'm going to go after those cravings. I'm not going to be able to resist. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe take that diet break, before you absolutely need it, a week or two before. Then that way you can increase calories slightly, feel satisfied, feel fulfilled, and then like that pun. And then that way you can get right back on track and go back into the fat loss phase. So that's what I've kind of learned this time around, and I've done better at that, at doing the maintenance. Where yes, the weight goes up just a little bit, but then it comes right back down, and I'm back losing again compared to before. Um, so I'm only planning on doing the 1 week for the diet break this time around. I just don't feel like I need another week. I am planning on going back into the rapid fat loss protocol. I really like that. I don't know what that says about me, that I've really enjoyed it. Um, Maybe there's some twisted part of my personality, who knows. But I felt like the results were good. I didn't feel like it was too hard to do. So, especially for the amount of effort I put into it and the results I got, I feel like they go hand in hand. They weigh out pretty well together. It wasn't like I put in all kinds of effort and barely got any results, then that wouldn't be worth it. But since I feel like the results I got were either in line with the effort put in, or those results were even better, considering the effort I put in, that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I'll probably do that for another 3, maybe 4 weeks, do another diet break. At that point, I'm not sure. I'm definitely getting towards the end of this fat loss phase. So that might be the end there, or I might do another couple weeks kind of thing, 2 to 4 weeks, and then that be it. And I do plan on kind of keeping this more kind of diet vlog going, just so you guys can see what it's like coming out of the fat loss phase. There's going to be body fat gained. There should be body fat gained, so that's a normal thing. That's to be expected, and that'll be fine. And then, I'll do that for a while and then kind of move into kind of a bulking phase, trying to gain some muscle. I'm going to try doing things a little differently this time to gain a little more slowly, try to keep body fat levels a little bit more in check than I did last year. Not by a huge margin, but by a little bit. And then as I need to, I'll take maybe a little diet or mini break, or mini diet. Sorry, I'll get the right phrase in a minute. Apparently my workout made me tired and I can't speak. But I'll try the little mini cut and see how that goes. That's going to be the rapid fat loss protocol too. So, in that case, 2 to 4 weeks will be the max, and then go back to that bulking part. Losing the body fat during that can kind of help pave the way for more muscle gain. So that's part of the reasoning behind that. But I think it'll be a good idea to keep track of things and let you guys kind of follow along, kind of see how that goes. So hopefully I can gain a couple pounds maybe of muscle next year. Don't expect huge amounts by any means, and knowing some of that's just going to be like fluid and different things like that in the muscle, not true muscle mass, protein, etc., muscle fibers. But again, it'll give you some of the principles, and then you guys can kind of follow those and apply them however you need to, what works for your situation and life and different things. But hopefully that's helpful. So yeah, starting today I will, one last thing. So when I do that diet break during the week, or during the fat loss phase, that week I will have more carbohydrates throughout the week. So I have more calories, since I can add a little bit more fat, which I do, and add a little bit more carbohydrates, which I do, and I actually cut down the protein a little bit to kind of balance things out as well. Because if I'm eating more carbohydrates, I don't need quite the same amount of protein as when I'm cutting the carbohydrates down really low. Then I need a little bit more protein. So I make those changes. But then on Saturday, where I normally have that really high calorie and carb day, I don't do that during the diet break because I don't need it. I've already had carbohydrates throughout the week, so my glycogen stores aren't that depleted. Now, I still will have a little bit more that day than I had during the week, but it's probably cutting things in half. So probably half the carbohydrates, maybe even a little bit more of a cut than that, but close to that. So that's what I did yesterday. That's what I basically plan on doing again today, because normally Sunday's less than that, big high calorie, high carb day on Saturday. And then starting tomorrow, I'll get right into the rapid fat loss protocol. And like I said, do that for a couple weeks, have the higher day on Saturday, like really high day Saturday, and then the higher day on Sunday. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, diet break, I don't know, moderate carbs, low to moderate, I guess, maybe Monday through Friday. Definitely moderate to high carb on Saturday, moderate to high carb on Sunday, and then either continue with that, for another week for a diet break, or move into whatever fat loss plan is there. So hopefully that clarifies things a little bit. But I appreciate you guys watching this. If you have questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Please like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great week. See you next time.